Okay, so we are going to cover some basics of EC2. There's a lot going on in this service in AWS because it's really a core service to AWS. It's most used service and one that's used behind the scenes by AWS itself to provide other services. It's a very much a core service that does a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of features. What I want to cover here is basics of EC2, the things that I think are most important to get up and running with it. Some of it might be obvious and some of it might be new to you. Hopefully I can at least clarify some stuff that you have questions on in the following few videos. What we're going to do here in this video is just launch an instance, and we're just going to see some of the crazy options we have to pick. Now, first we choose an AMI, an Amazon Machine image, and this is the base image on which we create a server. It's a server image, and there's quite a few. So we have Amazon Linux. Amazon creates its own Linux. It's version 2 of Amazon Linux. That's the latest. It's based on CentOS, so it's very much like CentOS, except it has some customizations to it. Nothing too major. You can do Mac OS instances. Red Hat for an additional cost, because Red Hat has its own license fees, which is the same also for SQL-based servers, or Microsoft servers, I should say. Certain Microsoft servers come with an additional cost for the license to use Windows and SQL Server and all that stuff. Ubuntu 2004, or whatever the latest LTS of Ubuntu is a very popular one, and one we're going to use here. And there's a bunch of others also, and you can go ahead and search for community AMIs or marketplace AMIs, which are either free or come with an additional hourly cost depending on what's on them. I typically use a quick start AMI, often Ubuntu in my case, and build my own images off of them using Packer, but that's not what we're talking about here. For here, it's good enough for me to just use a base image here. So I'll select this Ubuntu server, and then immediately we're hit with this option, this huge list of server types. So one thing we're going to cover in the next video is actually how to choose a server type, what server types there are, and what different attributes the servers have to help you decide what you want to do. Now, in our case, it's simple here. T2 is the older version of the T class instances, and T3 is the newer one. So T3s are what I'm going to pick. T2 micro is in the free tier. That's why they do it by default. I'm just going to go ahead and pick a T3.large, and in another video, I'll talk about the T classes specifically, and we can configure instance details, which is really the page I wanted to get to in this video, because look at all this stuff you need to choose from. I hopefully am going to clarify what, not all of this is, but the important things here. I'll clarify what these are so that you don't have to look at this page with confusion, with fear that you might be doing something wrong. Now, in my case, I'm just going to go ahead and pick the custom VPC that we created in different videos and a subnet that I believe is public. And that is it for this. That's all I'm going to do. I'll add some storage, and I'm just going to pick GP3 instead of GP2. Again, I'll talk about this as well, what we're actually choosing here when we change these options. 8 gigabytes is fine. Add tags. I'll do a name here. I'll call it example public instance. And we'll configure security groups. Again, this is a thing we'll cover. And the security groups here are few and far in between. I'll create a new one. It's just going to allow SSH. That is great. We're going to call this allow SSH access. Allow SSH access only. And that's good. It'll allow port 22, which is SSH, traffic from any location in the world. Review and launch. Launch. Now, this is yet another thing we'll cover quickly as well. The SSH keys that allow you to SSH into the server. One already exists in my account called Cloud Class Forge, so we can go ahead and launch this instance with that. All right, so we created an instance. There's quite a few options. In the next few videos, I'm going to try to describe all these options that you have to go through so that they are clear to you about what you're doing, to kind of get rid of the fear and uncertainty around EC2 and what all of these crazy options are.